this. I'm going to record this for those who couldn't get on, and hopefully it'll work. All right. So I got thinking about something today, and I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about this. And I feel terrible that you can't see me because of shadow. I can't fix it. It's just the way my office lighting is at this time of day. So I got really thinking about something, and I think that we all run into some issues with our team as we're starting to build. We all run into the same issues. And one of the things that you're going to run into, first of all, if you are taking the time out to watch this call, whether that's now or later when it's recorded, first of all, you are headed towards being a professional. You are trying to be a leader. That is first and foremost. We're going to talk about a little bit about the other two categories of people that get into network marketing. And if you read Eric Worre's Go Pro, which I think most of the people on my team have, he'll classify those as posers, amateurs, and then of course the professionals. And the reason that we want to really become a professional is because if you have really big dreams that you're trying to accomplish, you really need to do some things to take your business seriously and to become a professional. If I'm shifting around right now, it's just because I'm trying to figure out a way for you guys to be able to see me better on here. There's really no point to doing a conference call if you can't actually see me anyway. Because I find it's more personal than phone calls, but this is not being very effective today. I'm still in the shadow. I think I might turn around. Hang tight for a second. I might go around to the other side of my office. And see if this helps. Yeah, that's better. Now you can see me. Okay. I should have tried that before. So forgive the fact that I'm like no makeup and just in the middle of a normal day and not looking fancy today. So a lot of what we get when we're trying to build is we get excited because we see the vision. We start to see what's possible, and we start trying to bring people in, and what we actually get is a lot of what Eric Worre would call posers and amateurs. These are people who think that they have like punched a lottery ticket, and they're just going to hope that it is going to be easy and it's going to cash out. You know, here's my lottery ticket. Hopefully that I'm going to be successful. This is going to be awesome. They are really, really hard to drag along behind you, and you will find that the sooner you let go of those people, love them but let them go, the sooner you let go of it, the faster you can run to the finish line, because it's like dragging weights behind you. These are people who are just going to quit as soon as it gets hard. And the funny thing is, when you start to hear back from your downline and your team, like, oh, it's too hard, this is too hard, that's too hard, my question back to them would be, you know, first of all, you want to evaluate, is this somebody who really wants to see their goals come true or not? You ask them, you know, in comparison, let's look at your current situation and what's hard about your current situation. Plexus aside, network marketing aside, what's hard about your life currently that it is that you're trying to change? Is it that you don't have the time freedom that you want? Is it that you can't help people in your life that you care about? Maybe, you know, sick parents, or maybe it's just unbearable financial constraints. Whatever that is that's hard, or looking and projecting into your future and saying, if I keep going the way that I'm going right now, I'm never going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. To me, that's hard. Not looking into my future and the reality of, for me, well, let me sidetrack. I didn't write this down in my notes, but let me sidetrack for a second, because we get really excited about doing our dream boards and our goals, right? And making your dream board is important. I think that sometimes people get a little bit surface level with their dream board. And what I mean by that is maybe a picture of a pretty house and it's decorated the way that you want it to be, or maybe it's a vacation that you would like to take. And those are great things to have on your dream board. However, the things that are actually going to motivate you are the things that actually trigger emotion in you, okay? Let me give you my example. One of mine is this. I have daughters that are turning 17, well, and 19 in the next 3 weeks. And of course, you guys always see pictures of my little boy everywhere. And as we were a military family for over 10 years, I watched how hard it was for, I'm going to get choked up. I didn't mean to do this. I watched how hard it was for the rest of our family to be part of my kids' lives. I watched how hard it was for the grandparents. And when we settled down and settled into where we live now, one of the things that I realized was my daughters might go to college, move away, find somebody who lives somewhere else, and they might live in another state. And where I am, not currently, but when I started Plexus, where I was at that point, if that were to happen, and for me that was very close because I've got a daughter that's already in college, I thought, if they have kids and move away, I'm not in a position to hop on a plane and go see them whenever I want to. That kind of thing triggered deep emotion for me. So when you're talking about setting your goals and putting those things in front of yourself, find a way to put the things in front of yourself that actually triggers emotion, because that's where the key is. And so going back to the people that you have on your team, you're going to have people who think they've punched a lottery ticket and they're looking to find that one rock star who's going to take them to the top and make it happen for them. I don't think anybody that's watching this call or that's in this team is that person. But I'm going to talk to that person as if one of them is listening right now. And my question to that person is, why sit around waiting? Because time's going to pass anyway. Why sit around waiting and hoping that you're going to find that one rock star that's going to take you to the top, because they're going to take their business professionally. They're going to take the steps that they need to take to make it happen. They're going to designate time to learning and following up and working on those skill sets. Why waste time hoping that you're going to get lucky and find that one person who's going to push you to success? Why not just be that person? Why not just be that person? And that is pretty much what my mindset was when I came into it. Was, I don't know that I'll find that rock star. That would be great if I did. What I do know is that I have control over what I do. So I know I can be that rock star. And it really took a lot, because as most of you know, I was actually working 50 hours a week. That is not easy to work around when you've got 3 kids, everybody's running different directions. My husband traveled all the time, still does, and I was working 50 hours a week. So it can be done, but there are a lot of people who will quit when it gets too hard, and that's the kind of stuff that I want to talk about today, because I'm going to give you some tools to talk to them about it, and then if you can't reframe their thinking, then you recognize that they're not somebody who's running with you, and you kind of cut them loose and look for the other ones. People who are an amateur don't have professional attitude, and by professional attitude, that covers a lot of things, and we'll talk about that in a minute. They don't develop the skill sets, and they don't remain committed no matter what. If you listen to Les Brown, he'll call that group of people the, no matter what people. Well, that's what I am. And there are also people who don't want to practice, and they don't want to do things. They spend more time talking about what they wish would happen than they actually spend practicing or doing. A lot of people lack success because they want to stay comfortable in that amateur zone. They kind of want to dabble in the idea of it, hoping that they get lucky, but without really putting out the effort. And these are the same people that aren't willing to do their own work and do their own research. They're the ones who come to you over and over again to get the same questions answered, things that you know that they could find if they really looked for them, and they don't want to do their own research. They won't look for their answers. They won't create their own plan. They want you to create it for them. And they won't commit to the things that are can be boring, the day-to-day, the ins and outs. Not all of it is totally exciting, but being professional means that you do the day-to-day work. These are also the people that won't seek out personal growth, which means asking what they themselves need to do to get better, and then figuring out how to learn it. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I keep circling back to, is that I have people who will come around and say, but where can I find these answers, or how can I get better at this, or what is the solution to how to talk to people? And they come back to their upline over and over again, asking her things that honestly they could seek out the same resources that I have and the same resources that their upline has, and they could figure out how to learn it. It's not that we're not there to help guide and help say, hey, here's what worked for me. Maybe this will work for you too. Here's the system I'm using. Let's plug you into it and you can adapt it as you go. These are people who really actually want you to do it for them. Those people are going to be a drain on your time and on your business. So what people need to do is really evaluate how important this is to them, really identify their why, as we talk about all the time, and then make the decision to become a professional and move forward. You know, people's results change when they focus on the skills that they need, and they focus on the commitment that's required, and then they start practicing what it is that they need to do. So there are 3 really important elements of your business. The first one is the product, okay? We have an amazing product, obviously, but a lot of people will blame the first 2 of these 3 important elements of your network marketing business. If a lot of people are being successful and they have the same product that we have to offer, then it's not the products that are the problem. If I present the products and someone else presents the products and I'm not successfully achieving a customer and ambassador base, then I'm doing something not as well and I need to correct it. Maybe I just need to practice more. Maybe I just need to get more comfortable with what I'm saying, or maybe I've got to learn some things to approach people differently or to present things differently. But I'm the one that has to do that work. Sorry, I'm talking too fast. To do that work, to figure it out. So what I have to say about that is I'm most likely to learn that by doing and by consistent personal development. So that means by practicing. So if it's talking to people, I have to talk to people more. If it's hosting events, I have to host events more. And you can learn a lot from the personal development, which just means calls, team calls, books, videos. Those things are very important. And a lot of people, though, instead will blame the product if they're not being able to build their business. So the number 2 thing is your compensation plan. We have a phenomenal compensation plan. It is wildly generous, and it's available to absolutely everyone from the day they step foot in this business. That is so unusual. If some people are earning a great income and you're not earning a great income, then it's not the compensation plan. So that is another thing that some people will blame when they're not having success. And then the third most important part is you. The most important element of your business is you. You're the difference between success and failure. So for those who kind of didn't think that they were the difference between success and failure, today I think is like your call to action to say, you know, from today forward, I'm going to fully take responsibility for my own business. This is where you pencil in your regular learning and development, you know, whether that's every day for 30 minutes a day or whether that's several days a week, that you're going to plug into specific personal growth and development, learning about well, actually, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. For me, I do 2 to 3 hours at this business every single day religiously. It's 2 to 3 hours. I'm typically doing 30 minutes to an hour of learning in some way, shape, or form, whether that's about the industry, about my company, about the testimonials and what their products are doing for people, or just how to do network marketing better. So that's, for me, I'm probably doing a good solid 4 hours a day from the day I stepped into this. And if I couldn't do that every single day, I've pretty much made that happen for the most part. I would probably end up doing extra on some days than others, or staying up late. I really did have to stay up late a lot of times because I was working full time. But what everybody else decides to do is up to them, just as long as you commit to it regularly. Okay, one of the things I want to caution you guys about is that in network marketing, the options for like the latest and greatest new thing to build your business is really a dizzying array. All that you really need to do is focus on a very narrow range of skills. There are 7 things that you truly need to focus on. It's talking to people and building relationships, number 1. Talking to people and building relationships. Number 2, finding prospects. Number 3, develop your skills at inviting them to look at your products, inviting them to look at your opportunity. Number 4, presenting. Number 5, following up. Number 6, closing, which is a trouble that most of us have, so we're going to work on that. Number 7 is getting people started right. If you focus on that narrow range of skills and don't worry about everything else that comes into your focus, because you'll see all kinds of, hey, if you want to build your network marketing business, let's plug into this new great, whatever somebody's offering and you have to pay for it. It's a monthly service or something. No, just focus on those 7 skills, master those, and learning those will get you where you're trying to go. Learning is the key. Professionals are always learning and always growing. They're always putting themselves around people that can teach them more. You need to make sure, and this doesn't apply to you guys, but it'll apply to a lot of your downline that you're trying to mentor. They need to be around positive, happy, successful people who support them and where they're going. Otherwise, discouragement and apathy start to set in, and I've seen that happen many times. So you've got to find a group and keep yourself surrounded by people that have that same drive and that they see the possibilities. So one of the things I like to do is I like to try to hone in on anybody in my downline that seems to be missing that and try to find a way to plug them in or to pull them back in. And it's different for every person, what I do, how I do it, how I approach them. But one of the things too is building your team culture is a part of that as well. Let's see, learning is key, and here are some of the ways that you need to suggest to people. You need to tell them, these are the ways you need to be learning. Read the testimonials, read the books that we suggest, listen to audios in your car while you're driving. That's team calls or podcasts or books that are on audio. Listen to them while you're working out. Make time some way or another. Watch online videos and webinars. Get to any Plexus events that you can get to. These are the keys. You have to feed into your motivation and don't get lulled into apathy. I don't necessarily think that, especially in this group that's watching this video right now, I don't think that that's a danger for this group, but it is going to be for a lot of people on your downline, that they will just kind of fall into this apathetic place of, you know what, it's kind of hard, and they kind of forget about what their goals were. And that's kind of where we might be able to scoop them back up and remind them of what their goals were, what their why was, what they told us. So developing those relationships with your downline becomes important for that reason. When you start to see something like that happening, sometimes you don't know why somebody falls off the radar. It might be personal stuff going on too, and you just might be that lifeboat that they needed to pull them back out of it. That's very often. So make sure you're developing relationships with your downline too. So hopefully you're learning every day and waking up excited to put what you learned the last day into practice. And I would say if you didn't join a team like that, like if you're direct upline, which hopefully you guys all are, I know everybody's upline in this team is pretty motivated, but if somebody didn't join, and let's say in your downline you have somebody in your like level 4 who doesn't have a level 1 and it's you up above them that's really motivated, really excited, they just don't have that. You need to be telling them that they've got to plug into somebody else in their sideline and their upline, further up in their upline. If they have that drive, they're going to need somebody around them that can match that drive. What other notes do I have? Oh, this is a good one. So almost all of the learning is in the doing. So I didn't want to get stuck on that topic for too long for this reason, because I see a lot of people do this, and I could have done the same thing easily. A lot of times we get stuck in the learning process and we don't want to step out and do, because a lot of those things are make us nervous. The doing makes us nervous. We run the risk of being told no. We run the risk of just feeling that uncomfortable feeling when somebody is not excited about our products or our business. So we can get stuck learning for too long. But you do need to keep seeking the knowledge, but then you need to keep going out and doing it. It will teach you the most. Just as a quick example of that, the last thing that I wanted to do was present to people and talk to people and be put on the spot. I was scared of it. I was scared to be put on the spot in case I forgot something or said the wrong thing or didn't know how to handle a situation. When I first started Plexus, I kind of evaluated what all of my weak points were. And that was one of the things I most didn't want to do. I don't want to do events. I don't want to get in front of people. And I don't mean like training events. I mean, like, I just didn't want to present the products or I was excited, but I didn't want to talk to people in a setting, whether strangers or friends or whatever. So what I did was throw myself into it on purpose, because I knew that the best way for me to get over that would be to just keep doing it until I was kind of numb to the fear. You know what I mean? So I did that. I did a lot of stuff like that, doing trainings and inviting people to my house and taking on being a leader. That was not in my comfort zone. I just had to throw myself into it and start doing it so I would learn. Another thing about the learning and doing thing is this. I have intentionally left people in my downline hanging when they ask me questions sometimes, not to be mean, but because I know that by answering everything for them, I'm actually really deflating their success balloon. You know, if I do everything for them, if I answer the questions for them, I learned this from my own mistakes because I saw it happen. I know that it does a disservice to their business. I spent most of my first year trying to do too much for too many people, and because I thought that I was helping them. So if they shot questions at me all day long, I was answering their questions all day long, but I knew that they could have found those answers in their back office. I knew they could have found them on the website, through customer service, through doing an online search, or through digging through the files in one of the team pages, even searching the group for keywords. But instead, or listening to training calls. But instead, I found myself answering over and over the same questions over and over. And I actually slowed down my business because I got so busy trying to essentially work everybody else's business for them. And if I had peeled that back down to the basics, I would have realized those people were amateurs. They were people who were hoping that this turned into something, but they weren't really going to put the effort in. And if I hadn't done that, I could have pushed my business forward faster, and I could have actually poured more energy and time into the people that were running the fastest and figured out how to support them better. And I could have spent extra time with my kids and with my husband, where a lot of times I was so busy putting out fires that I wasn't able to do that. So I've learned a lot. I have learned a ton from doing it the wrong way. So I'm saying this because I don't want you guys to do it the wrong way. I want you to be able to recognize who's who and run with the runners and work with the willing. And that doesn't mean abandon everyone else. Always leave that door open, but don't stress out over it. And this is where it's the hardest. When you're not to gold yet, this is where it's the hardest. Because when you're trying to get to gold, you just want 20 people to just order their products every day. That's all you want, or not every day, every month. The hardest point is getting from I just signed up to gold, because it's all on you, it's all on your back, and it's the least fun part of it in terms of that there's not as much exponential growth happening. It's not coming from everyone else yet. So I didn't write this down in my notes. I'm probably going to mess it up, but I usually talk about this with people. If you were to look at Do this calculation in your head. If you're not to gold yet, you'll know these numbers. I can't do it in my head because I have to look at my back office. Instead of getting stressed out about who's not doing the business and, oh my gosh, I've got this many people and only one of them is kind of sort of doing the business, I must really suck at this. I know that's what everyone's thinking because I hear this all the time. It's not true. If you have 17 people, I'm going to do the math on my calculator because I'm terrible at doing numbers on the spot. If you have 17 people that you've signed up under you, and 3 of them have dropped off the radar and they're not really ordering, or they sometimes order, you're down to 15 people. If you find what's 20% of 15 people, that's 3 people. So out of the entire 7 people that you have signed up under you, I promise you at any given time, if you only have 15 people that are ordering, you're only going to have 3 that are doing the business at any level. Are you following? So if I do the same numbers at, let's say I have 250. Let's just say I have 250 who are doing the business at some level. Maybe they're running fast. Maybe they just are ordering their own products and have 1 customer. I have 250 that are active. My 20% is that there's 50 people who are somehow really running with the business, or that they really have an interest in the business. That's going to be my top 20% is going to be about 50 people. So I think sometimes people fool themselves about the numbers. They expect a lot more than 2 people to be interested in the business when they have signed up 17 people. And that's actually pretty average. And so it actually has been an aha moment for every single person that I've shown it to when we look at their numbers and I wait and I say, how many people are on your team? How many people are active? And they give me those numbers, and then I say how many people are sort of kind of running with the business, and they put their shoulders down and they're like, well, 2. But then I do the math and I show them, well, it wouldn't have been more than 2. It's just how it works. It's always going to be about 20%. So as you go forward, just know to pour your time and effort into those people that are in your top 20%. It's not that nobody else matters. It's just that it's going to be a waste of your time. And I don't want you guys to slow down your business by trying to drag along people who were never going to come along in the first place. All right, I need to move on. Let's see, leaving stuff out. I have 10 minutes left to wrap this up, and then you guys can ask me questions. Okay, this is an important one. Do you see yourself as a leader? I don't know if you can see that. Do you see yourself as a leader? So I want to wrap up with talking about whether you see yourself as a leader because it's important. Sometimes people get stressed out because their business is not going as fast as they want it to go. And when they first started, they were like, yeah, I want to make it to Emerald in my first 12 months because that looks possible because I see these people down in Texas doing it. I want you to put that out of your mind and set it aside because it doesn't matter. The thing to ask yourself is, do you see yourself as a leader? How do you envision yourself being the person that 50 people are coming to and leaning on for support? If that scares you and you don't think that you are a leader, that's where you need to start. You need to work on that piece first because that's what's going to happen. And as soon as you get comfortable with the idea of being a leader to that many people, your business is going to take that jump. It sometimes is that you're just developing that, and so you're at a place where you can work in a tight-knit group with 3 or 4 people, but you yourself don't see yourself as a leader yet. And so you're not really ready to hit Emerald yet, honestly. And we've seen that. I'm not talking to anybody that's on my screen right now, just in general. We've seen in Plexus where because of whatever factors, somebody soared to Emerald in 6 months and in no way, shape, or form had the leadership skills that they needed, and it actually left a whole bunch of people lagging because it disconnected them from the next uplines above them, and the person that was their direct upline didn't have the leadership skills and didn't really know how to do it. that's not necessarily the best case scenario. So it's not the worst thing if it's taking a while to get there, because you probably are having to develop the skills and the leadership to get there anyway. And that's all in like the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. That is a John Maxwell book that will teach you so much about being a leader or being a mentor. You have to ask yourself if you want that responsibility. And I hope the answer is yes, or I hope the answer is I'm scared of it, but I'm going to find a way to become comfortable with it, because that's when your business is going to take a leap. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't want to be a leader to start with. That was not that was not something I was looking for. I just knew that if I wanted to be successful, I was going to have to get comfortable with it. And leaders are leaders whether they have a team or not. So whether you have a big team or not, it's all in your mindset. Lastly, this is not really for you guys. This is for people that are in your downline as well, because I know that you all are leaders and I know that you all are taking your business seriously. But something to ask your downline is, and to say to them as they're coming to you with absolutely everything and leaning on you for way more than what you're actually responsible for, is, you know, we're here for you and we want you to be successful. But remember that your business is your business. And through Plexus, you absolutely can make your dreams come true. Many of us are doing it. But your upline is not responsible for your success. That has to be something that you personally decide. So in some cases, you have to kind of make them understand that if they don't take their business seriously, why would their upline, or why would anybody else for that matter, take their business seriously? So people really need to decide how much time they want to devote to each task each week. It might be a small amount of time, but just be consistent about it. Decide their hours, analyze which days and how much of each day they can devote to Plexus, which means personal development, home events, following up, reaching out to people. Decide how much you can designate. And behind me, can you see this board that I'm pointing to right here? That is a whiteboard that is all divided up for the month, and it's divided up for the weeks. Well, it's divided up actually into 1 week, and I kind of do the same things Monday through Sunday. And it has on there exactly what category I'm going to work on each day in the week. I had to figure that out for myself. Like these days I'm going to work on personal development, and I have this much time for it. These days I'm going to focus on whatever the category is that needs to be accomplished for me to be successful is on that board, and it has a day and a time slot. And because I take my business seriously, I try really hard to stick to it. And from that board, whatever is actually going to get done on that particular day of the month, it kind of correlates to that board, but it goes into my planner. So if it's specific people that I'm going to talk to, if it's specific books that I'm working on reading, it's in my planner, and I try to stick to it. And if I don't get to something that day, I do put it on my list for the next day, and I try to accomplish it. It's not that I'm perfect, it's just that I do take it seriously, because you're going to have people that come along and go, yeah, I'm so excited, and they're running really fast for like 8 days, and then they disappear for a week, and then they come back 4 weeks later and say, well, I was just really busy because all these things were going on. And you go, that's okay, and you kind of give them some grace and let's get started again, but they'll keep doing it over and over again. Those people do not waste your time on throughout your business. I'm going to hang this up and send out a new link real quick, because I'm going to run out of time in 3 minutes, and I want to give you like 10 minutes to ask me questions. Okay? I'm going to make a new link for you real quick.